Welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate, a show where I break verbal bread with the quote unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Available to watch before the match only on Patreon for our second tier subscribers. That's $6 a month. You get extra hours of content, the episodes early, plenty of nice things. Get in, help support your favorite Man City show. You know the vibes. Link to Patreon is in the notes. Today, uh, I'm excited. This is a new connection made, a new friend of Shady Gang. This is Red Bull, Champions League. We faced them before. I've been looking and scrounging for Connect. I don't know why I didn't just think of using Google. Typed in Red Bull English. I mean, I would gladly do it with a Russian or German or someone from that area, but it is what it is. I'm very glad to just have someone on because I have a lot of questions about this club, about the team, because truly, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how many Red Bull supporters you guys just randomly talk to around here. So I am very excited to chat with Justin. Hopefully I say his last name right. Croser. Croser. How do you say it?
The actual real pronunciation is Croser, but
Croser.
Croser's fine. That's what most people say to me, so
I love it.
perfectly fine with
Well,
that.
Shady Gang, give it up for our guest, Justin Croser. Hold on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. Well, how are you doing? And what time is it? And what time is it? Because I do want to kind of point this out.
I'm actually from Australia, so
Mm-hmm.
it's actually 5:57 a.m. Monday morning. That would be the 20th of November. I've literally just gotten home from work, literally about 20 minutes ago, and scheduled this time slot. So because I've got to do night shift, so basically, after this, I'll be sleeping and going back to work. So, because this podcast is sort of basically just something I do for fun, and it was something that I couldn't see that anyone has done, so decided to do an English podcast on my favorite team, which is RB Leipzig.
Hey, appreciate you for taking your time to do this. Where we're recording, like he said, it's the 20th where he is. I'm here in the US. It's the 19th where he's talking from the future. Uh, there's Perth de la Prem, their general Premier League Australian pod. They had to stop, but I enjoyed having them on because it was very similar that we could have them on our show and the timing kind of worked. So it's always good whenever we can connect with our Aussies. Uh, I want to start with the transfers. Uh, Big year of transfers out, uh, players out for Leipzig. Cashed out big with Vardiol and Kuku and Zobozlai. The Leipzig
Sabozloy.
Sabozaloy.
Sabozloy is apparently how you say it. Yeah,
And on it,
I used to butcher
yes.
that all the time.
One more time. Say
Sabozloy.
Sabozaloy. No, I appreciate that. I actually had in a note to ask you, and you beat me to it, so I appreciate it.
That's
I'm
all
actually going to clip that for future reference, because I'm going to saying it a lot, unfortunately, within Liverpool, and that's also the team we play next. The Leipzig model is to funnel in a new batch of young phenoms just consistently and cash out on them. It's kind of a model you see a lot of teams do, but Leipzig manages to stay at the top, near the top. They seem to always be in the conversation, always in the Champions League, which I enjoy seeing that. Players that they brought in, Luis Openda, there's Lukiba, Baumgartner, even getting Xavi Simons back from PSG, his loan. The club has a surplus of cash from the transfers of the three players I mentioned earlier. What are your thoughts on how Leipzig has handled the summer transfer? Are you happy with the current roster?
Yeah, yes and no. So we've got a couple of weak areas. I would probably more say to do with the fullbacks. That's why we brought in Christopher Lenz from Eintracht Frankfurt for only 1.1 million euro. He was more so to replace Josko Gardevol, as we could have Simikan can also do wing back or
Hmm.
fullback. In all, you do like to see your players stay. For instance, I would have rather have not given you guys Gardevoir.
But thank you,
um,
because he's
but
amazing.
he's a great defender. That being said, though, um, you know you've got to make money and spend money to get anywhere, and we don't have the luxuries of your wealth, even though we are still a wealthy club.
Mhm.
So we have to do what we can. We get all the best young players possible. We also funnel some through our youth academy.
Mhm.
We also get some from the other Red Bull clubs, which is Salzburg and New York. So we have that little bit of a luxury there that we can get, especially from the Austrian league, because in the Austrian Bundesliga league, like it's a big step up from there to here, as in the Bundesliga. But we took in who did we take from there? We took Salzburg, Nicholas Seiwald, 20 million euro, and he's just fit in just quite comfortably.
Mm, shoot. Well, it's just crazy hearing your player that you brought in to kind of help replace Vardiol. One of them you brought in for €1 million. That's just crazy, and the return on investment, I'm sure Leipzig will be able to manage with that player. Is crazy. How do you feel about Lukeba? Because I thought he was going to come in to be the Vardiol replacement.
Yeah, so he's definitely played more games in that role. So the Christopher Lenz player, he's only just the sort of like the backup, because we took in Castello Lacaba from Lyon for about 30 million euro, and he's not quite as good as Gardeval. Excuse me. He's he's attacking is not as good. His defending is still pretty good, but
Mm,
he doesn't have that passing ability or that ability to push up the pitch as well as what Gardeval can. So I can see where Pep Guardiola has managed to take Gardeval because he didn't have to teach him much. He's
no,
already got that. Basically got that exact same play that he needs, especially because he can play across that whole back four
yes. He's definitely a player that has been able to plug and play, and
pretty
he's just
much.
learning, I guess, the specifics of pet ball.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it moving then to Marco Rose. How do you, is it Rose? Marco Rose?
I think it's just pronounced as Rose,
Okay,
just
cool,
like a normal Rose. Yeah.
cool. Uh, I would like to get to know the manager and the style of football that he deploys. As someone who covers the club, I'm sure you probably have your thoughts on the manager. But let's start here. How do you feel about Marco Rose?
Um, Mixed feelings. So he's Leipzig born. He came
Mm,
through the ranks as well. Coached Salzburg and Borussia Dortmund, Gladbach as well, and he wants what's best for the club.
mm,
There's no doubt about that, and he knows how to play the the Red Bull or Leipzig way, which is our style has an emphasis on the development of young talents, and we play a proactive, high pressing counter pressing style of football with direct vertical and quick attacking play to score as quickly as possible. And he's been doing that no matter where he's managed.
mm.
Um, I just think he's a little bit one dimensional at some points. So the best managers in the world, Pep being definitely one of them. If his team is down, he still has a way, without having to change too much and reinvent the
Yes.
wheel, to still win or to still get something out of it. I'm yet to see that from Marco Rose, but we don't really get challenged much either in the Bundesliga besides Bayern, even though we have got Dortmund, Stuttgart, even Leverkusen are top of the table at the moment.
Yes.
So we do get challenged, but I don't really see him change anything different, which is where I'd like to see him improve. But he's on the big bucks, not me. So I'm coming from a fan supporter type of view. So that's a little bit different. But other than that, like he's definitely a very good manager, and he's still got some more to give this club as well.
Okay. Well, how does the general fans feel about Marco? Do you agree? Like, do you see eye to eye with the general consensus of the manager?
Yeah, everyone seems to love him. So like he's not like hated or anything like that, or he isn't. What's the word? I wouldn't say disliked, but he doesn't cop a lot of flack. So I'm a little bit more critical, but that's just me as a person. Every everyone has their own personal view, but no one seems to really despise anything that he does or anything like that. So, unlike the international games, our old manager Julian Nagelsmann is now coaching Die Mineshaft, which hope I've said that correctly, is German for the team.
Mm,
Which is what the German international team's called. He was just playing Kai Havertz, who now plays for Arsenal, as left
yes.
back, which was absurd because he called up
Oh,
David Raum from our team to play left back. So if he did, Marco Rose doesn't pull anything like that out. If he did, I'd be shocked. Uh, but yeah, I
and
think
David
I'm more hard against
Rom
it.
Rom's been linked to City multiple times because of his position and how he plays it at left back. I am not entirely sold on the player, but I see why he is linked to City and how he would fit in pet ball.
It's mainly because he's an attacking fullback,
Mm-hmm.
and he will overlap and he will do some good crosses. I don't think he's in the style of play as someone that would excel in your squad, so to speak. I don't think he's up to that standard in the Premier League. Um, for instance, if you could basically get just Gardevold to learn to cross the ball better, because I don't see him doing many crosses. He's a good passer of the ball, but I
Mm-hmm.
never saw him do a lot of crosses at Leipzig. So if you got some training into him on how to cross the ball, he could basically do your left back role.
I love it. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is moving around pretty smoothly. Players to watch when we play you guys. I mean, like I said, I love Zavi Simmons. That's kind of when we played you guys. That was just who I watched the entire time. Are there any other players? Am I maybe putting too much energy towards Zavi? Like, are you a fan of him? And who else on the squad should I be paying more attention to when we play each other?
I'm definitely a fan of Zavi Simmons. He's taken the whole entire um, club and competition by storm. He's still only a loanee, people forget. So it is good that Marco Rose has designed the team around him, similar to how Pep started designing his old Barcelona team around a player like Messi. So I'm not putting two and two together.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. Just the similarities of building a team around somebody. Um, but in general, we don't really have a whole lot of star men or star
hmm
players, so to
hmm
speak. So, Timo Werner used to be good. He's fallen out of favour. I think his time's coming to a close, which is sad. But if he plays, he can still do a roll off the bench. I still don't think he's going to, score 3 goals or anything like that.
mm
Danny Olmo's out injured, so unfortunately, he's not going to be doing anything in that regards because
Yeah,
he
he's
just hurt his
paused.
knee and then he came back and had a broken shoulder.
Ooh,
Um, so he had surgery on that. I think it might have been more of a dislocation, but he's not due to come back until the start of January or maybe the very end of December.
that's crazy.
Other than that, it's mainly our forwards. So Lewis Openda and Benjamin Sesko, who are both new arrivals, are actually really good. And the only other player I would suggest in watching is probably Christoph Baumgartner. As,
Mm.
he's an Austrian international, and he hasn't started many games. Whenever he's come off the pitch, like played 20 odd minutes or 30 minutes, he's always done something, and he's similar to how Emil Forsberg plays for us. He's that creative power, and he can pass the ball, but he's getting to become a bit of a box to box midfielder. Other than that, there's really no one besides maybe our left backs, our wing backs, that you would be more worried about. So, and that's only because we will play a very similar way that you play. We will push up the pitch. We'll try to do a high press. We'll try to, you know, pass really quickly. And our main attack is, if it's not through the defense, it's by corners and crosses.
That is what I very much enjoy and appreciate about Leipzig. You every time we play you guys, I know it won't be just you sitting back and putting everyone back and hoping that you can maybe scale the goal, but you're just aiming for a 0-0. You're gonna play with us. Yes, you're not gonna be as attacking because we're Manchester City, but there are moments where you run at us. You've been able to catch us. I love clubs like that, and I am appreciative of that.
In general, I think the biggest player you have to watch would probably be the one that you're going to try and score against, and that's Janis Blaswich. He's had a terrific season, season and a half really. We picked him up in sometime last year to cover for Peter Galacci, who was out injured with an ACL injury, and he's taken the number one goalkeeping spot and hasn't been able to, like Galacci hasn't been able to take it back off him.
Mm,
And you know he's been Leipzig's number one for a while, and Blaswich only just got a call up to the international German squad
oh,
as well. So,
nice.
um, and he's played really well. He's, in my opinion, and this is a little biased, of course, but he's actually playing better goalkeeping than actual Manuel Neuer for Bayern, even though he's
Yeah.
coming off an injury himself. And I think he was better than anything that I've seen to Sturgeon do in La Liga as well. So I think he's the most one of the most underrated goalkeepers around. He's even though he's old, he's 32. He's not getting any younger, but he's
Mm,
playing like he's in his prime. So if he's taken some remarkable stops, and if he can, it's I always say that he's doing way too much. As in, like eventually, like he's doing so many good saves, and, you know, but he might have 3 goals past him, and you think, wow, like if he didn't save the ball as well as he was, it could be 6-0, or it could
mm,
be 6 goals past, you know.
yeah. Well, how do you see this match going? I know Pep is going. This match is in a particular odd spot. We've had our spot basically locked down. There's we're in the row where it's every match is every 3 days. I would think Pep's going to rest. But had this entire week off leading up to this match, a really big important match after the Leipzig. I feel like you guys might end up getting a pretty strong side 11 against you guys, which might feel harsh, but I think it's just Pep trying to get players. RLB, maybe we get a rested side, but don't be surprised if in the second half, like that's when Vardiol and Daku and Grealish comes on and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting. So I would like to hear what your thoughts on this match and maybe end with the score prediction.
Yeah, your team is fantastic. Like not many teams in the world can say they can basically have a full fledged 11 as well, and that's with the whole full squad as
Mm-hmm.
well. You know, you could turn around and go, you know, take out most of your 11 starters and replace them with, say, your backups, and you look at that and go, wow, that's still a very strong side. Our fixture, we play a game on Sunday, the November 26th. I think this is my local time as well, at 12 a.m. And then we played the game against you at 5:30 a.m. Wednesday, November 29th. Um, our game is actually against Wolfsburg, who actually knocked us out of the cup this year. Was a little disappointed in that we lost 1-0,
Mm,
and we could have made it three in a row, and which astounded me that we could have actually been the first Bundesliga club to win the DFB Pokal 3 years in a row. Not even Bayern have even done that yet. So they got knocked out as well by a third division team. I think that was a shock loss. Um, but going further into your question, I think it's still going to be a City win. Depending on how you guys go about it, like we still have our chances. That's for
true.
sure. I don't expect there to be too much because there's not too much on the line with both going through. So that being said, it really depends on how Marco Rose wants to set up his team. If he wants to try to snatch some points against City, or if he wants to try anything different, like putting in players in certain positions. For instance, Nicholas Seiwald played left back or right back. I can't remember which one. We're looking at the team lineup for Austria recently, and he's actually a midfielder for us. So we could rest some players and we could put him at left or right back because he does it at international level. So um, it'd be interesting to see how the tactics play out and how the game goes. It would be nice for us to beat you because if we're going to play you deeper into the competition, it might end up messy like it was last season. What was that, like a seven something on aggregate or
Yeah,
something ridiculous?
yeah,
I still watched that to the end. That was painful watch, but um, I think it's going to be a close game for a majority of it. I think it's going to be hammer and tong, so to speak. I think City's class will prevail, and it will be more interesting to find out how the tactical analysis goes from both sides.
yeah. For my, I have a theory on our scoring for this season, and it kind of was from last watching all last season. I don't want us scoring, as crazy as it sounds, in the first 15, maybe even 20 minutes of the match. I want comfortability. I want figuring out how the opposing team is going to set up offensively and defense, or attacking and defensively. I find when we score early, and in fact, when we score twice early, that is when Pep just goes, all right, let's set up shop. And that's when things get airy. Our players tend to shut off for moments, and we end up giving up a goal. And it makes the last 20, 30 minutes of the match very stressful.
I can
When,
agree with you because the same things happened with us. We were 2-0 up against Bayern in the Bundesliga, um, and we shut off and we basically got rolled. And it's happened multiple times throughout the season as well already. So I can really agree with how you are there. I do not want to see us get up early because then we might even be like, oh, we can beat City, we can beat them like in Manchester, and that's not going to happen. If as soon as you switch off against top sides, you're gonna know about it. You're gonna lose, especially the pep teams. Like they will destroy you if you switch off for just seconds, which is what happened in our reverse fixture.
Mhm. All right. Well, truly, I thank you for coming on. Shady Gang thanks you for coming on. Shady Gang, please give it up for Justin. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. We are appreciative. Please plug yourself, RBL Talk. Let the listeners know where to find you, follow you, hear you, watch you, all those things.
Yep. So we're on Twitter, formerly X or whatever people want to call it these days. The handle for that is just RBL Talk, which is RBL Talk. My handle is my full name, Justin Croser, on the same social. And I also have a website, justincroser.com, which is linked to the podcast through that as well. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, anywhere else you listen to your podcasts, and it's growing by the moment. So if it's not on your podcast catch or anything like that, there's the RSS feed, or you just get in touch with the page, and I can sort it out so you can listen to it on all your devices. Thank you very
Hey,
much for having me.
no, thank you. And the way that it works is I will be in touch with you anytime we play each other, and which seemingly is every year. So prepare yourselves, get to know us as Shady Gang, Shades of Blue as general. I
I
hope you
think I
have.
might give it. I think I might
Oh,
give you a little bit of banter during the game as well.
please. Oh, please. No, we love that. We, this is half the reason why I do this show. We do a Thursday night live stream where we bring three guests on, and only one of them normally is a City fan. Our whole thing, because Man City, they win, people have perceptions of them. We are proactive at trying to break down, I guess, just all general sweeps of Man City fans. So please banter, and we'll banter back, and it's all love. We love it.
Likewise.
All right. Well, Shady Gang, thanks for joining us. You know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.